Welcome to the History Stories podcast.
Glad to be here.
Get ready for another exciting historic road trip because we are delving into a truly bizarre and, well, enduring historical mystery today.
We really are. It's a strange one.
We're unpacking the slippery saga of star jelly.
For centuries, you see, people across the globe, they've reported encountering these strange gelatinous substances just appearing on the ground.
Out of nowhere.
Often seemingly out of nowhere, yeah.
Yeah.
And frequently after meteor showers or, sightings of shooting stars.
The celestial link.
Exactly. And these finds, they've sparked some pretty wild theories and baffled scientists for a long time. We've actually gathered a stack of history books and uncovered sources to help us navigate this cosmic dew.
Right. So our mission today, understand the history of these mysterious blobs, explore the various explanations proposed over time.
And figure out why this seemingly simple thing has captivated imaginations for so long.
We'll look at everything, medieval beliefs, modern science, the works, all to bring you the most fascinating nuggets.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is star jelly? What are we actually talking about here, fundamentally?
Well, at its core, you're looking at this recurring phenomenon, finding odd jelly-like stuff on the ground.
Just jelly?
Pretty much. But what's fascinating, really, is how often these discoveries are linked, at least in people's minds, to things happening up there in the sky.
Like meteors?
Like meteor showers, shooting stars, yeah. It's that celestial connection that really fuels the mystery,
Right, that connection is key.
Yeah.
And it's gone by so many different names. Our history books and sources mention star jelly, obviously, but also astromyxin astral jelly.
Oh, yeah.
And I love this one, pwdre. That's Welsh for rot from the stars.
It really captures that duality, doesn't it? Something maybe cosmic, but decaying right here. Earthly.
It really does. That Welsh term hits the nail on the head.
And you also see stella terre, star of the earth, in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
Stare slime in Middle English.
Yeah.
And even caca de luna, moon poop, apparently, in Mexico.
Moon poop. Okay. That's descriptive.
It certainly is. It just highlights how widespread this phenomenon and the attempts to explain it have been across different times, different cultures.
You can just imagine someone stumbling across it and thinking, well, what else could it possibly be? So early on, the connection to meteors was strong.
Seems like it.
What kind of explanations were people coming up with back then?
Initially, the explanations ranged quite a bit, from the straightforwardly terrestrial to the wildly imaginative.
All right.
On the more grounded side, some early thinkers suggested it might be something biological, like maybe frog spawn, or some kind of slime mold, things found in nature.
Right, mundane stuff.
But then you also had these more extraordinary ideas, and the most persistent one, really, was that it was some form of alien biological matter, something that had fallen to Earth.
Alien biological matter, that definitely grabs your attention.
Doesn't it? It's the one that sticks in the mind.
It does. Straight to the good stuff. So let's dive into the history of these sightings. What do our history books and sources tell us about the timeline, this slime trail? Where do we first see mentions?
The earliest mentions actually pop up in medicine, which is quite interesting.
Medicine or not?
Yeah. In 14th century England, there was a physician, John of Gaddesden. He wrote about stella terre, that star of the earth, describing it as, and I quote, a certain mucilaginous substance lying upon the earth.
Mucilaginous, nice word.
Isn't it? And he even thought it had medicinal properties, could be used to treat abscesses.
So he wasn't necessarily thinking it fell from the sky then, just that it was special.
Not explicitly in that specific instance, no, though the name Star of the Earth certainly hints at something unusual.
True.
However, around the same time, a Latin medical glossary defined uligo as a certain fatty substance emitted from the earth that is commonly called a star which has fallen.
Ah, okay. There it is, the direct link.
There it is. So the idea of the celestial origin was definitely circulating even back then.
Okay, so the celestial connection was definitely in the air, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
What else from the medieval period?
Well, we also have circa 1440, an English-Latin dictionary equating stare slime with the Latin term asub.
Asub.
Yeah, and asub itself is believed to come from the Arabic word ashuhab,
Which means?
falling or shooting stars.
Gotcha. So the link is embedded right there in the language.
It seems so. And of course, there's the Welsh term we mentioned, pwdre, rot from the stars. It really emphasizes that dual nature, something from the cosmos ending up as, decaying matter on the ground.
So even early on, different languages, different cultures, same basic idea. Strange jelly, maybe from the sky?
Seems that way, a persistent idea.
Let's fast forward a bit. Early modern period. Did the connection to meteors get even more explicit? Maybe as, observation improved or news traveled more?
Absolutely, it seems like it. As people became perhaps more observant or as accounts started circulating more widely, we see more direct associations being made.
Like specific incidents?
Yeah. Yes. For example, in 1652, somewhere between Siena and Rome, a jelly-like substance was reportedly seen right after a luminous meteor.
Okay, cause and effect.
Or perceived cause and effect, at least.
Hmm.
And then in 1718, on the island of Leyte, something similar was found precisely, quote, where a meteor had fallen to Earth.
Right where it supposedly landed.
Exactly. These reports, well, anecdotal, they really fueled that idea in people's minds. And here's where it gets really interesting. This idea even seeped into literature.
Literature. How so? How did writers handle this?
Well, in 1656, the poet and philosopher Henry Moore had this rather unique theory.
Yeah.
He suggested that falling stars, these jelly things found on Earth, were actually the excrement of stars.
Wait, what? Star poop? Seriously?
Yeah, celestial poop? That was his idea.
Wow, okay. That's memorable.
It certainly is. Then you get a bit of a skeptical take from the playwright John Dryden in 1679. He wrote about the disappointment, thinking he'd found a fallen star, but being, quote, cozened with the jelly.
Cozened with a jelly. So like tricked or let down by it being just goo.
Exactly. The expectation was there, the wonder, but the reality was underwhelming. Just a blob.
A familiar feeling, maybe.
Perhaps. And Sir John Suckling in 1641 wrote a poem about chasing a false star shot and finding a jelly-up dew-snatch.
Snatching up jelly instead of a star.
Right. And William Somerville in 1740 used the image of a meteor becoming a jelly cold on Earth as a metaphor for death. So this idea, stars turning into jelly on impact, was clearly a prevalent one, culturally speaking.
Fascinating. But it wasn't all fantasy and metaphors, right? You mentioned early skepticism.
Correct. We do see early signs of people looking for more earthly explanations. In the 18th century, the naturalist Thomas Pennant, he proposed that maybe this jelly was just something vomited up by birds or animals.
Ah, the vomit theory. A bit less glamorous than star poop.
Considerably less glamorous, but maybe more biologically plausible, let's say.
That makes sense. It marks a shift, doesn't it,
Yeah.
towards biology away from pure cosmology.
It really does. An early attempt at a biological explanation for what was seen as celestial. Now, let's jump ahead. 19th and 20th centuries. What happens as science progresses and media becomes more widespread?
Well, the folklore definitely persisted. That sense of wonder, maybe unease. Sir Walter Scott in 1825, he echoed Dryden, having a character in the Talisman dismiss a fallen star as some foul jelly.
Still just jelly.
But moving into the early 20th century, we start seeing more direct engagement from scientists. T.M. Hughes, writing in Nature in 1910.
Right, Nature. Prestigious journal.
He specifically questioned this long-held link between meteors and jelly. He mentioned observing this precursor himself and noted that it seemed to, and I quote, grow out from among the roots of grass.
Grow out from the roots, not fall onto them.
Exactly, which strongly suggested a terrestrial origin, something growing here, not falling from space.
That's a really key observation, growing versus falling. And then we get to the mid-20th century and, well, probably the most famous incident, especially in pop culture.
Philadelphia, 1950.
That's the one, the police encounter. This really captured the public imagination.
Ah, yes, the one that inspired the Blob. Tell us about that. It sounds wild.
It really does. So, September night, 2 police officers, Keenan and Collins, they reportedly saw an object falling, maybe like a parachute, they said.
Yeah.
When they went to investigate, they found this large mass, 6 feet in diameter, shimmering, pulsating purple jelly.
6 feet, pulsating, purple.
That's the report. Some accounts even said it glowed, felt sticky, maybe vibrated. One officer apparently touched it.
Brave or foolish?
Possibly both. Tiny bits stuck to his hand, then just vanished, left behind a bit of odorless scum.
Vanished.
And get this, within about half an hour, the whole 6-foot thing had reportedly dissolved completely, just melted away.
A 6-foot pulsating purple blob just dissolving into nothing? That's incredible. The Philadelphia Inquirer headline was something like, flying saucer. Just dissolved, right?
That was it. So it immediately got tied into the whole UFO craze of the time. the anxieties about the unknown in the skies.
Makes sense for 1950.
Absolutely. And even though the media largely treated it as a bit of a joke, maybe a curiosity, this incident happening right in the middle of that post-war UFO boom.
Yeah?
It's widely considered the direct inspiration for the movie The Blob. The writer and producer were both from Pennsylvania, likely knew the local story and just ran with it, turned it into that iconic monster.
Wow. Reality-inspiring sci-fi. Or, well, reported reality.
Reported reality, yes. A very direct link, though.
From a weird news story to a classic film, that's quite something.
Huh.
But the reports didn't stop in 1950, did they? People kept finding this stuff.
No, they continued, sporadically. In 1979, someone in Frisco, Texas, reported finding purple blobs, similar description, after the Perseid meteor shower. So that celestial link was still being made.
Still looking up?
Then in 1983, in North Reading, Massachusetts, people found this grayish-white, oily gelatin on lawns, streets, even dripping from gas pumps.
Oily. That sounds different.
It does sound a bit different, yeah. These later sightings kept the mystery simmering, and they really set the stage for another very significant event in 1994.
Oakville.
The Oakville Enigma. And Oakville, as you hinted, is particularly unsettling because of the reported health effects.
Right. Oakville always stands out. It wasn't just the substance, but what it seemed to do to people, what made it so different.
The scale, for one thing, and those health effects. Over 3 weeks, the town experienced not just one, but 6 distinct rains of these tiny, clear, jelly-like droplets.
6 times.
Yeah.
Over 3 weeks.
Yeah. Covering a 20-square-mile area. This wasn't just a small blob here or there. It was widespread, repeatedly.
What did it look like, feel like, to the people there?
Eyewitnesses described them as small, maybe half the size of a grain of rice, clear, gelatinous. Officer David Lacey had that initial encounter smeared on his windshield. Very direct. And a resident, Dottie Hearn, said it looked like hail, but it wasn't hail. It was this jelly stuff. Her daughter, Sunny Barclift, even collected samples. So we have physical evidence, at least initially.
And this is where it gets really disturbing, right? People getting sick.
Yes. Numerous residents, including Officer Lacey, Dottie Hearn, they reported severe flu-like symptoms. Dizziness, nausea, fatigue, breathing problems. Pretty soon after encountering the blobs.
Serious symptoms.
Very. Hearn was even hospitalized, which shows how severe it was for some. And tragically, Barcliff reported her kitten died after coming into contact with the substance.
Oh, no. A kitten died. That really ups the ante. Suggests it was genuinely harmful somehow.
It certainly does. Adds a whole other level of seriousness.
So what did the analysis show? What were these Oakville blobs made of? Science must have figured this one out.
Well, this is where it gets really confusing and, frankly, quite frustrating.
Yeah.
Its initial microscopic examination done at a local hospital supposedly identified human white blood cells.
Human white blood cells.
Yeah.
From sewage.
That was the immediate theory, maybe airplane toilet waste. But the FAA pointed out that stuff is dyed blue. These blobs were clear, so that theory didn't quite fit.
Okay, so not airplane waste. Then what?
Then the Washington State Department of Ecology did tests. They found cells, yes, but the cells lacked nuclei.
Lacked nuclei, like the central part of the cell.
Exactly, the brain of the cell, so to speak. Its absence suggests we're not looking at typical animal or plant life as we know it.
So not human cells, not plant cells. What else?
Well, it also seemed to rule out a local theory that they were bits of jellyfish chopped up by Navy bombing exercises out at sea. Jellyfish cells have nuclei too.
Right. So no nuclei. What does that leave? Bacteria?
That would suggest prokaryotic life, like bacteria. And indeed, a microbiologist, Mike McDowell, he did find 2 common types of bacteria, Pseudomonas fluorescens and Enterobacter colocae.
Common bacteria, found everywhere.
Pretty much. Soil, water, even associated with waste. So finding them wasn't necessarily definitive. But the fact that the other analysis still showed cells without nuclei, that remained a puzzle, a contradiction.
How could both be true?
It's hard to reconcile. McDowell himself speculated maybe it was some kind of biological carrier system, even possibly for a military experiment. Though, to be clear, there was absolutely no proof of that. Just speculation fueled by the weirdness.
Understandable speculation, given the circumstances.
And then, incredibly, the samples that were sent on to the State Department of Health for further testing, they just went missing.
They went missing. Vanished.
Vanished. Without a trace.
Okay, that sounds like something straight out of a conspiracy movie. Missing samples. No wonder people speculate.
It certainly fueled a lot of theories locally and online. So the Oakville blobs remain officially unexplained, a truly chilling local legend, really. Lots of unanswered
Yes,
questions.
definitely. But the story doesn't end in 94, does it? There have been more recent sightings.
We do see more. In 1996, after a meteor was seen near Kempton, Tasmania, people found this white translucent slime. Similar description. Everett, Washington, 1997, similar substance reported. More recently, 2013, Hamwall Nature Reserve in England. Jelly-like deposits sparked debate. Theories ranged from, unfertilized frog spawn
The usual suspect.
to cyanobacteria. And there have been numerous sightings in Scotland. Interestingly, in Scotland, DNA tests actually did link some of the jelly to frogs.
Ah, so some confirmation there.
Some concrete answers in at least those cases, yes. Which is crucial. It shows that sometimes there's a simple biological explanation.
Right. So after all these centuries, all these reports, what are the main theories now? What are the most likely explanations for this goo?
Well, the biological explanations definitely seem to be the front runners now.
Like the frog vomit theory we joked about.
Yeah.
The idea that predators, like herons or buzzards, are regurgitating the indigestible jelly around frog eggs or oviducts.
That's right. Unpleasant, but plausible, and there's quite a bit of evidence supporting it.
Such as?
Well, sightings often happen in damp places, amphibian habitats, often coincide with breeding seasons. People have actually witnessed birds regurgitating this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And importantly, some finds contain those little black globules that look like eggs. Remember that 1926 study? Bailey's found actual oviducts and ovaries in a sample.
Right. Actual biological parts.
And that 2015 UK DNA analysis finding frog and magpie DNA, that was pretty compelling, suggests a predator-prey interaction. The Scottish studies finding frog or toad DNA further strengthen this.
So the frog spawn vomit theory holds a lot of water. Or jelly.
It holds a lot of weight for many reports, yes. Seems likely for a good portion of them.
But like you said earlier, it doesn't explain everything.
Yeah.
What about finds with no eggs? Or sightings in the autumn way after breeding season?
Exactly. Or those really large quantities. Seems like a lot for one bird to hawk up. And the big one, cases with no detectable DNA. Or those weird cell structures like in Oakville.
So the frog theory doesn't cover all the bases. What's the next contender?
The other main biological one is nostoc cyanobacteria. This is a type of bacteria sometimes called blue-green algae, though it's technically bacteria.
Right.
It forms these colonies in a gelatinous sheath. And the key thing is it can swell up dramatically after it rains. So you might not notice it when it's dry, but after a good rain, poof, a significant mass of jelly can suddenly appear.
Ah, the star jelly algae.
Yeah.
I remember reading about that. That makes sense with reports of it appearing suddenly after rain.
It fits really well with that aspect. It also looks like the descriptions and photos we have of some star jelly finds.
Right.
And interestingly, some of its folk names are actually star jelly and fallen star. So people have been making that visual connection for a long time based on appearance and sudden emergence, even before we knew about cyanobacteria.
Wow. So the name itself might come from this stuff.
It's possible. Plus, nostoc is incredibly resilient, survives extreme conditions, which might explain why it's found in lots of different places.
It's bacteria, so it shouldn't have animal cells or visible eggs.
Right.
That doesn't explain those finds.
Correct. Doesn't account for those features. And some reports mention rapid evaporation or dissolving, which maybe doesn't fit perfectly with something that absorbs water and swells. The texture might not always match descriptions either, according to some.
Okay, so nostoc fits some cases, but not others. What else?
Then we have the slime molds, like Enteridium, like Operdon, which, get this, is nicknamed moon poop in some places.
Moon poop again. It keeps coming back.
It really does. Slime molds are eukaryotic organisms, not bacteria. They have this gelatinous stage called a plasmodium. They can appear quite suddenly and have that slimy texture. And they come in different colors, which might explain some variations in reports.
Okay, plausible. But aren't they usually found on decaying wood, not just out in fields?
Often, yes, that's a common habitat. And again, they should have DNA. They have nuclei. So that goes back to the issue of some samples having no detectable DNA, or the Oakville findings, another gap.
So frog spawn, nostoc, slime molds.
Mm-hmm.
They all explain some sightings, maybe even most, but none of them seem to be a perfect universal fit.
That seems to be the consensus, yes. None are a slam dunk for every single case. And then you have a whole host of other proposed explanations.
Yeah.
Ranging from, somewhat plausible, like certain types of jelly fungi, which can look similar,
Mhm.
to less convincing things like industrial waste. that blue ice theory from airplanes was floated, but star jelly isn't typically blue. Bryozoa, which are aquatic invertebrates unlikely to be found as widespread terrestrial jelly.
Right.
And then just miscellaneous biological matter. Our sources delicately mention deer or stag semen,
Oh, lovely. Yes.
which, while gelatinous, seems unlikely to be mistaken for a celestial phenomenon on a large scale.
Probably not. So a whole spectrum, from plausible biology to, well, other stuff. But what about that persistent meteor link, the extraterrestrial idea? That thread runs so strongly through the history, despite the science.
It really does. Even though scientifically it's highly, highly unlikely for goo to survive atmospheric entry. Meteors are rock, metal, the heat is intense. It would incinerate most organic stuff.
Seems logical.
But the folklore is powerful. And you still see speculative articles sometimes suggesting origins in, like, prestellar molecular clouds, which is pretty far out there. Literally and figuratively. And the Oakville case, with its weirdness and inconclusive analysis, even led to some fleeting talk of panspermia life seeded from space. Highly speculative, of course.
But the idea lingers.
And we can't underestimate the influence of Philadelphia 1950 and the blob. That really cemented the image. Alien slime arrives via meteor. It's a potent cultural image, hard to shake.
So science says probably not aliens, but the idea sticks, thanks to pop culture and those genuinely weird, unexplained cases.
Pretty much. And then there's that whole DNA puzzle. Conflicting results everywhere.
Right. No DNA in some U.S. samples, frog and magpie DNA in the U.K., inconclusive in Scotland.
Yeah.
What do we make of that? It seems like a key piece that keeps shifting.
It really highlights the complexity, and it strongly suggests we're probably not dealing with just one thing called star jelly. We're likely lumping different phenomena together under one name.
Because they look similar?
Exactly. Sample degradation before analysis, different testing methods over time, or just genuinely different substances. All could explain the discrepancies. The lack of DNA in some well-tested samples is particularly intriguing. While highly unlikely to be ET, it does keep the door slightly ajar for explanations beyond the standard biological ones we currently understand.
Which is why the mystery endures.
Precisely.
It's like this gooey puzzle with pieces that just don't quite fit together, leaving us with more questions sometimes.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a bit, why has star jelly mattered so much? Why is this seemingly minor, weird thing captured so much attention?
That's a great question. I think star jelly really acts as a kind of cultural mirror. It reflects the beliefs and anxieties of different times.
Awesome.
In the past, without scientific explanations, people interpreted strange things through their existing worldview. Folklore, cosmology. The sky was powerful, mysterious, capable of sending stuff down. The link with meteors made intuitive sense. Both were sudden, dramatic from up there. And remember the folk medicine, believing it had special properties because it supposedly came from the stars.
So it wasn't just curiosity. It was about making sense of the world, maybe even harnessing perceived power.
Exactly. Then, science rises. The focus shifts to rational biological explanations. But because the stuff is often ephemeral, it disappears quickly, it's hard to analyze properly.
Right. The evidence melts away.
The scientific results have often been inconclusive or only explain some cases. And that lack of a definitive universal answer leaves room for the folklore, the speculation, to persist.
And the media plays a role too, right?
A huge role. Philadelphia, even if treated partly as a joke, gave us the blob. That ingrained the alien jelly idea. And Oakville, with the illnesses, the missing samples that got major attention, fueled mystery and even fear, amplified by shows like Unsolved Mysteries.
Bringing it to a much wider audience.
Definitely. And the timing seems significant, too.
How do you mean?
Well, Philadelphia was right at the start of the UFO era, post-WWII. Cold War anxieties, atomic age fears. People were looking up, worried but fascinated. A weird blog after a saucer sighting fit right in.
Right. Context is key.
And Oakville. That was the 90s. Growing environmental concerns, worries about secret government activities, maybe biological warfare tests. That general unease, the missing samples just poured gasoline on that fire.
So star jelly becomes a sort of screen onto which people project the anxieties of their era.
Exactly. A cultural Rorschach test, as some have called it. It reflects our beliefs, our fears, our fascinations, generation after generation.
It's a cultural Rorschach test. I like that. Okay, before we wrap up this historic road trip into the goo, let's hit some deeper cuts. Obscure details, lingering questions. The extra layers.
Oh, there are plenty. Let's start with the etymology again, the words. The sheer number of names is fascinating. We mentioned some, but there's also star fallen, star shot, star slime, even star slubber.
Star slubber. Nice.
all reinforcing that fallen star idea. Then you have names hinting at appearance or nature. Troll's butter, witch's butter, often for nostoc or fungi, and the French crochet de lune, moonspit.
Moonspit. Okay.
Mhm.
The imagery is memorable.
It shows how deeply this was embedded in local folklore and language, people trying to categorize it, understand it, long before formal science weighed in.
What about some of those more obscure reports? Fleeting mentions.
We had the 1652 Italy report, the 1718 Leddy Island one, both linked directly to meteors. Then there's that 1983 Massachusetts report, graved white, oily gelatin dripping from gas pumps. Sounds quite different, maybe another phenomenon altogether.
I do.
And the 1996 Tasmania, 1997 Washington State reports, both following meteor sightings, reinforcing that persistent link in people's minds. There are also anecdotal links to specific predators being seen regurgitating similar stuff, buzzards in Cumbria, marsh harriers in Sweden, supporting the biological theory in certain places.
Local observations.
And local folklore gives us gems like Pisky Puke in Cornwall, and yes, stag semen, showing that sometimes crude but direct way people explained weird stuff based on what they knew locally.
Pisky puke. Amazing. And how does star jelly compare to other weird stuff reportedly falling from the sky?
Yeah.
Like blood rain.
Good comparison. There's angel hair, fine, silvery cobweb stuff, often linked to UFOs, but usually thought to be spider silk. Blood rain is typically rainwater colored red by dust or algae. And the really bizarre Kentucky meat shower of 1876. Chunks of apparent raw meat fell on a farm.
Meat.
The leading theory, bizarrely, is vulture vomit, expelled mid-flight, which connects back to our frog vomit theory for star jelly, actually. Sometimes the mundane is truly weird.
Vulture vomit.
The key difference with star jelly is that distinct, persistent, gelatinous nature.
Right. It has its own unique jiggle factor.
Yeah.
And what about those lost threads, the loose ends?
The missing Oakville samples are huge, a major roadblock. Without them, modern analysis is impossible for that specific crucial event.
A real shame for solving that puzzle.
And those inconclusive DNA tests over the years, they leave a big question mark. Testing errors, degraded samples, or something genuinely unusual we haven't identified yet. These lost threads are why the mystery keeps its grip.
So as you can see, this historic road trip into the world of star jelly, well, it reveals a mystery as gooey and persistent as the substance itself.
Absolutely. We've journeyed through centuries of strange sightings, medieval musings, modern science.
And while we've uncovered likely explanations for many cases, regurgitating wildlife, blooming bacteria, the Enigma, especially cases like Oakville, it still kind of eludes a definitive answer.
Leaves that lingering sense of the unknown. So what do you make of it all? Does the frog spawn theory satisfy you completely?
Mostly, but...
Or do those unexplained anomalies, the cases that don't fit the biological molds, leave you wondering about something more? Maybe even something subtly otherworldly.
It does make you wonder. The beauty of this puzzle is that it invites us to think about the limits of our understanding, doesn't it? And the enduring power of the unknown.
Well said.
We've included a curated curiosity cabinet in our show notes. Links to articles, historical texts, media coverage, online discussions. If you want to dive even deeper into this fascinating topic.
Definitely check those out if you're intrigued.
And be sure to share this historic road trip with anyone who loves a good historical mystery. Those weird tales that blur the lines between science and folklore.
Yeah, spread the slime.
What other wild stories from history should we unpack for you on a future History Stories podcast? Let us know.